The Achaemenid infantry consisted of three groups: the Immortals, the Sparabara, and the Takabara, though in the later years of the Achaemenid Empire, a fourth group, the Cardaces, were introduced. The Immortals were described by Herodotus as being heavy infantry, led by Haidans II, that were kept constantly at a strength of exactly 10,000 men. He claimed that the unit's name stemmed from the custom that every killed, seriously wounded, or sick member was immediately replaced with a new one, maintaining the numbers and cohesion of the unit. They had wicker shields, short spears, swords or large daggers, and bow and arrows. Underneath their robes they wore scale armor coats. The spear counterbalances of the common soldiery were of silver. To differentiate commanding ranks, the officers' spear butt spikes were golden. Surviving Achaemenid-colored glazed bricks and carved reliefs represent the Immortals as wearing elaborate robes, hoop earrings and gold jewelry, though these garments and accessories were most likely worn only for ceremonial occasions. Quote, "The Sparabara were usually the first to engage in hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. Although not much is known about them today, it is believed that they were the backbone of the Persian army, who formed a shield wall and used their 2-meter-long spears to protect more vulnerable troops such as archers from the enemy. The Sparabara were taken from the full members of Persian society, were trained from childhood to be soldiers, and when not called out to fight on campaigns in distant lands they practiced hunting on the vast plains of Persia. However, when all was quiet and the Pax Persica held true, the Sparabara returned to normal life, farming the land and grazing their herds. Because of this, they lacked true professional quality on the battlefield. Yet they were well trained and courageous to the point of holding the line in most situations long enough for a counterattack. They were armored with quilted linen and carried large rectangular wicker shields as a form of light maneuverable defense. This, however, left them at a severe disadvantage against heavily armored opponents such as the hoplite. And the 2-meter-long spear was not able to give the Sparabara ample range to plausibly engage a trained phalanx. The wicker shields were able to effectively stop arrows, but not strong enough to protect the soldier from spears. However, the Sparabara could deal with most other infantry, including trained units from the east. The Achaemenids relied heavily on archery. Major contributing nations were the Scythians, Medes, Persians, and the Elamites. The composite bow was used by the Persians and Medes, who adopted it from the Scythians and transmitted it to other nations, including the Greeks. Achaemenid armies typically used socketed, three-bladed, also known as trilobate or Scythian, arrowheads. These arrowheads were cast from leaded tin bronze, which made them amenable to mass production, unlike the wrought iron arrowheads of the period that had to be individually forged. The Takabara were a rare unit who were a tough type of peltasts. They tended to fight with their own native weapons, which would have included a crescent-shaped, light wickerwork shield and axes, as well as light linen cloth and leather. The Takabara were recruited from territories that incorporated modern Iran,